Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave? Oh, the land of the free and the home of the brave. Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of a new day begun, let us march on till victory is won. Thank you. Congratulations, Chief Osby.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Chief Osby, we're here to celebrate you tonight. This room is filled with love for you, sir. So thank you, everyone, for coming tonight. We appreciate you guys all taking the time out of your busy schedule during the week to come celebrate retired Fire Chief Daryl L. Osby. Just wanted to say that it's been a long time coming, Chief. We chose this month because you made history. This month is Black History Month. For those that didn't know, February is Black History Month. And Chief Osby was the first African-American fire chief of Los Angeles County Fire Department. The first. And it is a blessing to be able to say that myself, Kelvin Patterson, who's on the board, and Rudy Charles, who is on the executive board, were part of your first class ever. So it's a blessing. And believe it or not, I learned last week that your father actually His last class, when he was fire chief of San Jose Fire Department, did Chief Jacobson's class. So the doors through the decades are connected. So very, very special. Chief Osby, we are here to celebrate you tonight. If you look around this room right here, you have touched everyone in this room. You have a special place in all of our hearts. And tonight we celebrate you. We celebrate your accomplishments. We celebrate your integrity, and we celebrate your leadership.
Good evening, everyone. If you would, bow with me and let's open this event up in prayer. Father God, I thank you for providing a place that we can celebrate. Your mercy and your grace has been shown to everyone who has breath in this place. The careers, opportunities, and friendships we have enjoyed, we credit to you. Jesus said, "The greatest of you would be a servant of all." He came not to be served, but to serve. Thank you for allowing us to witness a man of service. We honor Chief Osby tonight because he has honored you by serving. Thank you for his obedience. So let your spirit invade this space so we can collectively say to Chief Osby, "Well done, thy good and faithful servant." Bless this food that we've been provided. Bless those who've prepared it, and bless those who've worked to make this an outstanding evening. It's in your Son's name that we ask these things. Amen.
President Gray asked me to say a few words about one of our past presidents that we just buried on Tuesday past. As far as I'm concerned, he is the greatest president that this organization has ever known. His name was Herschel Clady. Now, the name Herschel Clady strikes fear in a lot of people. And I just told President Gray that to give you an idea of who Herschel Clady was, let me tell you a little story. I only had 3 minutes. I wish I had 6 months. He was the kind of person that he would say, if you're in a position to make a difference, make a difference. And Chief Osby, he understood that. As chief, he absolutely made a difference. I suspect that there's a lot of firefighters in this room from 2011 on that wouldn't be here without Chief Osby. I would say that they should stand and give him a thank you, but not right now. To give you an idea of who Herschel Clady was, he wasn't satisfied with being the only. So happens he was the first black person to promote to engineer on the LA County Fire Department, the first black person to promote to captain. But he was not satisfied with being the only. I used to work for him at Station 58 as president. There were many meetings that he held at Station 58. One particular meeting had to deal with the captain's list at that time. There was 4 black applicants on that list, and the chief had indicated at that time, that he's going to let the list die. So we decided, along with, at the direction of Captain Clady at that time, we got to do something. So the black firefighters in that station, 4 of us, we're going to get put on our best suit and we're going to go up to headquarters and we're going to demonstrate. And at that time we had a fire commissioner, he just happened to be black, and he said, "Hey, ho, fellas, let me talk to the chief." He did. He arranged a meeting. The fire chief came down to 58 with some of his top staff, and Herschel directed the meeting. And lot was said, and when the fire chief indicated that I'm still not going to promote those guys, they're going to die on the list. Captain Clady says, okay, chief, we have to talk to somebody else. Now, at the time, there was only 3 black captains on the LA County Fire Department, and this fire chief refused to add 4 more. So, before that list died, they got promoted. That's the kind of person that Herschel Clady was. I think we need a hand. Okay, a little bit about myself. I retired as Assistant Fire Chief, LA County, a few years ago. But my first position was with the city of Rialto. And the only thing black that was black there, before I got there was shoes and tires. So the city of Rialto, under the threat of losing their revenue sharing funds, had to integrate their fire department and police department. I came out number 7 on the list, but it so happened I was the only black on the list. So I got hired first. The next 2 people that got hired were Mexican Americans. I believe they were number 14 and number 19. Lo and behold, the next person that got hired, and the 4th person and the final person to get hired, he just happened to be number 9. And he was white. And when I found out about it, I asked him, I said, hey, wait a minute. You were number 9, what happened to number 1 through 6? So, number 9 getting hired, I went, So there must be something about becoming a firefighter that isn't just about taking an exam and being number 1. Because again, I was number 7. So thank God for the federal government making Rialto integrate, because that's the reason I got a job. In 1978, I started with the county. And I thought, boy, I was really well prepared. I had an AA degree before I started as a firefighter. Now I'm coming to the county. Man, I completed my 4-year degree. I got 4 years experience, and now I'm a paramedic. Man, I'm going to be on top of the list. I got hired, but as it turned out, I got hired because I was black. Because Herschel Clady had sued the county fire department, and the county fire department was under consent decree. They had to hire 20% black, 20% brown. I was part of that 20% black, so I got the job again because I was black. Doesn't matter. It's just not important to excel on the exam. You should have somebody pushing for you. In this case, in the case of Rialto, the federal government. In the case of the county, the consent decree. I would say that Chief Osby, when he became fire chief, he made sure that the people that got on the list, even though they did their part, I'm not saying that you shouldn't, but you better pay attention to who's the person that's pushing that department to do what is called the right thing. And Chief Osby, there were thousands of people in Band 1 on that list, but he did the right thing. He diversified that fire department, and I commend him for that. Thank you.
Okay, so I had 4 glasses of wines, and I'm retired and I'm on my own. Okay, first of all, I had got an invitation to speak as a past president. And they told me that I had 3 minutes, to speak on my buddy and my friend. Pardon?
You wasted 10 seconds just now.
Oh, man. Okay. Hey, Daryl, you awesome. Okay, that's it. Okay, let me say, I was, sitting on my bed today, and I was thinking about, I just just, go off the top of my head, because I had told, April had asked me, she said, what you gonna say, I said, well, I'm gonna, just, say whatever I have to say, in regards to, Chief Osby, but I'm also gonna throw in a couple of caveats, while we were on the fairground. But anyway, I sit there on the bed today, and I said, you know what, I know that I can go off on these tangents, so you better write, down and stay on the program and follow directions. So here we go. So don't be bored if I just look down on this piece of paper and read. First of all, giving honor to God, who has given meaning and purpose to my life. And I can speak, that's my life. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, fellow Stentorians and guests, you may not know me, but I am a past president. I work for LA County Fire Department 33 and a half years, and I'm also the current sitting treasurer of the International Black Firefighters Organization. Okay, before we address our honoree, Fire Chief Daryl Osby, retired, just allow me to extend a courtesy, and that is, we want to we give all the honor and all the respect, first of all, for Daryl's parents for doing an outstanding job of raising a extraordinary son. We want to thank his loving wife, and we also want to thank those beautiful daughters, that I've come to admire, over the years. Okay, now, I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge, let me get this paper a little close to me, his dad, his father, the 4-time fire chief of 4, different cities, and he is a iconic figure in the fire service. And I know that this night is all about his son. And when we talk about his son, I have a reminder. It reminds me of an album by the OJs, Family Reunion. And you may think that I'm going to stand up here and sing it, but no, I'm not. But I'm going to share some lyrics, from that album. And it goes like this. It says, but then we have the son, and most sons are imitators of their father. So we are back to the father. If he is guiding in the right direction, then the son is definitely going to be all right. Well, I stand here today, Mom and Dad, you did an outstanding job, because you know what? Daryl is all right. You did all right. You did an outstanding job, because you have given us an extraordinary, individual. You have given us, just a, dynamic, leader. Okay, now we get to the retiree, Daryl. And I say this without fear of contradiction. Anybody, contradicting me. Daryl's success was always a part of his endeavors in the fire service. And how could he not succeed when he has the best of the best, as his father, So success was in the writings. Now, this is Black History Month. And I think I might have, shared this, with Daryl. But at my church back in Goshen Springs, Mississippi, I know they all don't know where that is. Oh, what? Somebody know where that is? I was asked to make a presentation 2 years ago of Black History Month. So the young lady, she comes, she told me, she said, I'd like you to make the presentation. So she comes back to me, she says, well, who you going to, talk about? And they were thinking I may, maybe Barack Obama or, someone, of that. I says, Daryl Osby. And she says, who is that? I said, this is Black History Month, right? I says, okay. I said, Daryl Osby. He's the fire chief of Los Angeles County Fire Department. He's the first Black chief that the Los Angeles County Fire Department has ever had. So my black experiences through that program was talking about my friend, Daryl Osby. Okay, now, as I had said, I had told April, I says, I want to share a couple of experiences on the fire ground. Now, it was hilarious to me, might not be hilarious to you, but Daryl had just made battalion chief. And we had, if those of you who work in the Valencia, Saugus, Newhall area, you know about the brush fires. Oh man, 1 minute. So I gotta cut it short. Anyway, I'm glad to see these turnouts because we had this brush fire and Daryl came up and it looked like he just took his helmet out of the bag, out of the box. It was shiny white. And then he stood over there and he put his turnouts on. Wasn't a mark on them, I said maybe I need to pick up some dirt and dirty these turnouts for him. But anyway, let me just hurry up and finish with this. So Daryl is a smart man. Daryl came up. Daryl parked his vehicle on the blacktop. Chief Linson parked his vehicle in the grass. So we were sitting there and we were talking, and we were evaluating one of the captains who was saying some derogatory, expressions about us. And Daryl says, Ollie, you think we need to move? And I looked over, I said, yeah, I think we need to move, Daryl, because Daryl was smart. Daryl parked in the blacktop. Ollie parked in the grass, and the grass fire was about to consume, Ollie, and say how embarrassment of a moment that would have been. But anyway, they gave me a time limit, so I got to go, but, thank you for your indulgence.
Three minutes. So, good evening, everyone. It's great to be here. Chief Osby. I just have one question, sir. Is this going to be the last retirement dinner, or is there another one coming up? One more, okay. So, I had the distinct pleasure to serve on the Stentorian's executive board as vice president during Chief Osby's presidency for 4 years. But prior to that, I was on Chief Linson's presidency. I was one of his board members for 2 years. In the first 10 minutes of our meetings, we used to have public speaking lessons. It's just a joke, Ali. But it was an outstanding learning experience for me. I learned a lot from Daryl. I think some of you here may remember, or many of you may not know, but one of the highlights of Daryl's presidency was the creation of a position paper. This position paper is what we use to highlight the challenges and the issues with our department, and we included recommendations and solutions. No organization had ever done that in the department's history, and that was all under Daryl's leadership. So we operated from that premise, and we got a lot of things changed in recruitment. We got things changed in training, promotion process, and that's because of Daryl's leadership. I think there was a turning point in the organization when Daryl moved on and I took over for the next 10 years. That's what happened there. But Daryl was an outstanding mentor and an outstanding leader, but let him get mad at you and jam you up, it is searing. Searing. Believe you me, you don't want to be that guy. You know that commercial, Want to Get Away? I used to hate it when Daryl would jam me up about stuff. He just look at me and say, that's enough. I'm like, okay, man, So I remember when Daryl promoted to chief deputy, we had a Stentorian function, and we honored him for his achievement. And Captain James Juice Matthews wanted to play this song to honor that highlight. I mean, he was so excited about this song. He thought that would top off Daryl's achievements. I said, Juice, calm down, man. I said, what are we going to do when he makes fire chief? And Juice thought about it and said, oh, yeah, that's right, dog. I'm sorry about that. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, okay. So sure enough, Daryl made chief, and here we are, right? So I can't believe that some people in the department prior to Daryl leaving had the audacity to put a vote of no confidence on this man. Are you kidding me? I know I didn't vote for that, right? The man has done an outstanding job for 11 years, promoted so many people, changed so many things. The things that we did in recruitment with girls' camps and women's fire prep academies was all in Daryl's direction to me as recruitment captain to make those things happen. Those are some outstanding programs under Daryl's leadership. So, of course, people didn't like that, so here comes this sorry vote of no confidence. So, Daryl, there's no such thing as that in this room for you, all right? So in closing, I just want to wish you and Patricia a happy retirement. A new chapter in your life is coming up. I know you guys are going to be happy. Much love and respect.
Wise men said, be a bush if you can't be a tree. If you can't be a highway, be a trail. If you can't be a star, be a sun. It isn't about the size of the win or fail, but be the best at whatever you do. I say that because as serving as a past president of the Stentorian organization during the time frame when Chief Osby was a fire chief, you know, many people would say, you know, this man is just hiring all these blacks. But I want to just tell you, this man has always been about quality and not quantity. I recall many of the times that we've spent together talking about how we can get more of our brothers and sisters on the job. And it was always stress that they had to give their best, because that's what the community and that's what their families deserve. The positions that we've held in this department has always been about the performance of excellence and not mediocrity. Quality, not quantity, quality. It's interesting because in talking with Chief Osby prior to him leaving, we had a long talk. We were out, I'm sure you'll remember this. We sat actually for over almost 2 hours. And we were in Palm Desert at a conference. And we talked, and he says, you know what, Rob, you know, as I get ready to leave, I just feel like there's just so much more that we need to do. And it was kind of a somber moment, because honestly, I didn't want to see him leave, but I knew it was time, you know, because there is life after the fire service, right? There is life after the fire service. But, and I want to make sure I stay within my time. I don't want the music to come on. But I wanted to just make one point for you, Chief, is that you have truly changed lives. Because of you, you've put so many different people in this room's lives on different trajectories, myself included. I never, in my wildest dreams, would have thought that I would serve where I serve right now within the organization. And it's because of opportunities that you've provided for so many of us. So, thank you. But I just wanted to just do one thing. And at this time, I'd like to invite all of the chief officers that are in this room right now to join me on the stage. Real quick, come on, because my time is going. Come on up. I told y'all we were going to do this. Los Angeles County Fire Department, we have a Black Chief Officers Association. And whereas the fire chief says, you know, I just feel like, you know, there's so much that we could have done. I just wanted you to be able to visualize just the seeds that you've planted. And we have a small little token of our appreciation, Chief, that we wanted to give to you. And it says, recognizing Chief Osby for 38 years of unwavering service to the Los Angeles County Stentorians. Your commitment to the legacy of our organization has been invaluable. Chief, we love you, we appreciate you, and we thank you for everything you've done for us, brother.
All right, this next gentleman, he's been spoken about before. He has a legacy, a scroll long. Most people in this room are branches of his trunk, his tree, and this is the father of Chief Daryl Osby. I wanted to invite to the stage the 4-time fire chief of 4 different cities, one being Inglewood, California, my home city. Mr. Chief Robert Osby, please come to the stage. Sir, legend.
Thank you very much. I used to make fun of old people, and I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. First, let me say I am not a past president of the Stentorians, but I am an honorary lifetime member, and I'm wearing the badge that past President Herschel Clady gave me. First of all, I will try to stay within my 3 minutes, although if I go over just a little bit, then I'm sure Daryl will donate some of his time to his dad that paid all of the child. This is the biggest honor, the greatest honor. Even though I'm retired, I'm going to say in my post-professional life, this is the greatest honor I've ever had, because my charge is to introduce retired Chief Daryl Lawrence Osby. And I was given this assignment by the Osby family CEO, FEO, and I'd say also our guardian angel. She's just a guardian angel. Good job, Daryl. I was not present when he first stuck his little head out into this world. I was in the Army, and I was in the process of trying to dodge the draft. And I joined the National Guard, and they soon thereafter activated my unit. So I wasn't there to greet Daryl when he came here. But I will have to say this, even in my absence, that's the greatest gift that God ever gave a man on this earth. We haven't always agreed on things, but even when he disagreed, he was never disrespectful. Let me give you one example. We used to go fishing a lot. And I was nice to him because he would dig the worms. And one day we were going fishing and it was pouring, kind of like it's going to do when we go home tonight. I hate to say that, but it's going to be pouring. And I said, Daryl, we were going through a golf course on the way to the lake. I said, Daryl, look at these fools out there playing golf. And Daryl said, yeah, but we're going fishing, Dad. So those are the types of disagreements he would have with me. And it would make me think. You may think he's smarter because of me. I'm smarter because of him. Because I had the privilege of watching him grow. I had the privilege of changing his diapers, and hopefully I'll move on before he has to change mine. And I watched him go through some tough times. One of the things that and I can't condemn him for this is one of the reasons I love him so much and respect him so much. I never caught him in a lie. And goodness knees, I tried. Because there were many situations that I thought he should have lied. But he didn't. He paid the price for honesty. And I believe to my heart that he grew into that terminology, and we call it integrity as grown-ups. So without going too far over my 300 nines, it's 3 minutes, isn't it, Mr. President? I really enjoy it when the President of the United States is introduced simply as, ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States. Isn't that awesome? Well, let me tell you something awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, the former chief of one of the greatest fire departments on this earth, world class in every respect, the LA County Fire Department, let me present to you my son, Daryl Osby.
So thank you for all the introductions, and I'm going to pull a Ollie Linson in a positive way. I wrote notes because I wasn't given a 3-minute limit, but I didn't want to go too far and too long. But I just can't tell you how humbled and honored I am for this event, and to see so many people here to recognize my tenure in the fire service. I want to also thank the current president of the Stentorians and the previous Stentorian presidents that spoke, and thank my dad for the introduction. I don't know where he went, but it's dark out that way, but thank my dad for that introduction. And he was right in the sense that I come from good stock. And from childhood, I was taught to do the right thing, always. To do the right thing with grace. Because when I think about that, in many instances throughout my career in the fire service, I exercised grace to those that didn't deserve it, but it was the right thing to do. I want to thank the sponsors here that helped make this event possible, and for those that paid, thank you. To the Stentorian president and his wife and my wife for all the planning. You know, I had a lot of questions, but you know, now that I'm retired, they tell me to shut up. We got this. And as a matter of fact, with my wife, I should have known when listening to my mother-in-law, because she's a success in her own right, when she said, you know, Daryl, when Patricia goes to work, people don't move until she says they can move. So I'm under those restraints and conditions at my house too. But this event is just really overwhelming in relation to the planning, and I know there's more to come. I'm grateful for the Stentorians for doing this tonight, because this is long overdue. Not just because of my achievements and my retirement, but when I was the president several decades ago, we did this annually. I always felt that it was important to get together, to have fellowship, to recognize achievements, to strategize, and energize one another to get through what we were going through for the next year. And I would just hope that this event, although it's about me tonight, that we continue to do this on an ongoing basis because relationships are important. I wrote down words, and I really broke my speech down into 4 categories. And one, I just want to focus first on the young Stentorians that are in this room. Many of you, I know I hired you, but I don't know you, and you don't know me. And you only knew me as chief. And I was telling my wife, and I told Johnny, but I want you to know that I probably accomplished more before I became fire chief than when I got the job as fire chief. And that's important. It's important to know this for several reasons. And I get to speak about the Stentorians tonight because this is a Stentorian entity and program. I know as the fire chief, I had to be politically correct and do the right thing, and I did. I represented the entire county of Los Angeles, over 4 million people. But tonight, I get to represent us. And I want you to know that all the things I had to manage, I never forgot us. And I just want to share with you the word Stentorians, because I'm old enough to have met all the presidents. The first one, Bob Craig, to the present. And I am humbled by the fact that they have the courage. And April, I don't know where you are tonight, Johnny Gray's wife, but I thank you because I understand the sacrifice. But I'm grateful that they had the courage to, each decade, to move the needle, to allow me to stand where I am today. I was grateful to meet the first Stentorian presidents because they never knew what a black fire chief looked like. They never knew what a black officer looked like. And I was so glad to get appointed when some of them were still alive. But to my young Stentorians, the word Stentorian, speak up, represent. I know that you have a crazy, dangerous job, and it's an amazing mission. And if I had to do this all over again, I would, even through all my challenges, because there were a lot of successes. But in addition to the fact that you are firefighters, there's an added burden of being an African-American firefighter that only we understand. But you still have to stand up to that. There's a book there that you can look at some of my accomplishments that I did throughout my career. I just want to name a few while I'm here on the podium so you understand. Because not everyone in this room can become the fire chief. When you do the math, you know, this organization was formed in 1911, and my real payroll title is Forester and Firewarden, if you could imagine me going to some forestry conferences. But that organization was formed in 1911, and I'm the 10th Forester and Firewarden. I'm the 9th, and I want to thank our new one for being here this evening. But as a young firefighter, I was involved in the Explorer program throughout my career. I mentored people throughout my career. As a paramedic, I testified at the state legislature because for the paramedics in this room, we recognized that when you had someone in extremis and you couldn't control their airway, you had to take them to the nearest ER. And I was trying to make it to Cedars. I couldn't make it. The nearest ER was Kaiser. And Kaiser debated, you can't take non-Kaiser patients here. And I said, well, it says ER outside the room, outside your hospital, why not? As a young man, I testified in the state of California that if it says emergency room, I'm sorry for the ER, emergency room, they should be able to be open to everybody. Now there's state law that if a hospital says emergency room, you have to take a patient, regardless if they have their insurance or not. When I was a fire inspector, some of my peers said, well, Osby, you know, these Asian people over here and I know I got some Asian friends here tonight, but these Asian people here, they're not serious about their businesses. They're just in it for the money. They always fail all their inspections. Well, I went out and did my assessment and did some inspections and found out, there's a language barrier. And so I went to the Pacific Women's Organization and got them to interpret all of my inspections, and we started getting approval to the 90-some percentile in the relation to them getting their new businesses. And today, and that was in the 80s, today we still use that organization, and I did that as an engineer. As a captain, I was a paramedic coordinator, and I got called up to the fire chief's office. And if you've never been called up to the fire chief's office, you haven't done enough. But he called me up to the fire chief, to his office, because I ordered 2 paramedic units that had air conditioning. Now, the old timers in this room know we never had air conditioning in our apparatus. Never. The young dudes don't know that. But we didn't have air conditioning. And he chastised me. Do you know what that would do to our fleet cost with air conditioning? And I'm like, well, do you know the impact it has on our personnel when they're working in Pomona and Antelope Valley? Long story short, all of our apparatus now have air conditioning, and I did that as a captain. And I just want you to know these things because you don't have to be the fire chief to affect change. As a battalion chief, one night I was looking at 60 Minutes, and there was a thermal imager on 60 Minutes, and they were talking about cutting-edge technology, and that was in the 90s. And I said, wow, we should have that in our department. I went through all the proper budgetary processes and submitted it. I had outstanding information on why we should get it, denied. So guess what I did? I worked in a high-rent district. I went out and did a fundraiser and got the first thermal imager for the Los Angeles County Fire Department through a fundraiser. Hence, we now have thermal imagers throughout the county of Los Angeles. As an assistant fire chief, I saw this program and this article about Southwest Airlines. They, at that point, had never had an accident as it relates to a jetliner crashing. The premise was they flew one jet, a 737. Same mechanics, same parts, same training. And I said, wow, we have like 5 different types of apparatus in our department. Maybe we should consolidate and pick one. That's how we ended up with KMEs, by a recommendation I gave to the fire chief. Some of you just got back home from Turkey. I won't say this was my idea, but I carried the water that some of my subordinates came to me and said, Chief Osby, we should probably have one of those international teams. And there's only 2 in the nation. And so we had to take one to get one, but we got it. And we traveled throughout the world to provide care. I just say that to let you know you don't have to be the fire chief to affect change. You can affect change where you stand. And it's important that you do that. One of the best experiences that I ever had in my career was being the Stentorian president. And that was mentioned briefly. All they tried to talk about it, Brent did a better job. But as it relates to conflict resolution, dealing with our folks, with $5 a month at that time, speaking skills, writing skills, strategic planning, that was the best learning experience I had in my life. Brett talked about that position paper, and I challenged you. I told Johnny, dust it off, look at it. They talked about recruitment, retention, upward mobility, fairness, justice in this organization. And I know that some of you today are still suffering out there. As hard as I've worked, and others, it still happens. And I'm not that naive. Look at it, dust it off, change some dates, and keep it rolling. Because when I sit down tonight, and the reason I'm talking to these young brothers and sisters in this room, because I'm handing the baton to you. It's your responsibility to keep moving this needle forward. I wouldn't be standing here if we didn't have some progress, because I'm the first black fire chief. But there's a lot more room for improvement. And we should always be looking for better ways to do things. I'm glad I mentioned Chief Maroney, who's here, so congratulations. I wish you well. I saw somewhere here our union president, Dave Gelati's here. And I think we have one of our supervisors here, and I appreciate her if she's still here. Throughout my tenure, there were multiple times that we could have and should have filed lawsuits as it relates to the plight of an African American in this organization. But I resisted it because I didn't want some poor taxpayer to pay the financial burden for the inability for us to lead in this organization. And so often when we file lawsuits, the taxpayers pay, the person's responsible, nothing happens, and I never believed in forced change. I always believed in collaboration, consensus building, and I still feel the same way. And so I'm glad that our union president's here. I'm glad that our fire chief's here. I know that you have a lot of responsibilities, been there, done that, but this is your responsibility too. It's not just important to listen to the masses, but also to listen to the minorities as it relates to our beliefs. Because when you understand justice for the Stentorians and justice for African Americans in this profession, it not only suits us, it suits everybody. We never asked for any handouts. All we wanted was fairness and equality. And Dan told you wherever he was, I think that was Dan or Brent, I can't remember which one, my machete was double-edged. It cut both ways. Searing. So I never ever lower standards, I always raise standards, but it's important that we have an equitable process for everybody. And I challenged the fire chief, I challenged the union president to work with our Stentorian president, Johnny Gray. When I was the Stentorian president and a lot of crap was happening in the 90s, and I can't even begin to tell you, I don't have enough time. I know I'm way beyond whatever Johnny said I was supposed to talk. He never told me a time frame, but I'm not gonna be abusive. But I got the international president of the International Association of Firefighters, the then union president, the then president of fire chief of our department, and me, the president of the Stentorians. And I want to say that was the first ever meeting of us getting together. But it was important to sit down and deal with the issues then, as important as it is that we need to talk about the issues today. And they exist. Sometimes we get caught up in numbers as it relates to statistics. I've never been a numbers guy. I thank my dad for the introduction, and he had an amazing career in the fire service. But I will tell you this, my parents never asked me to join this profession. And I believe I understand why. I'm saddened that Herschel Clady couldn't be here because we talked about this, and he was going to buy a table and really celebrate this evening. It was Herschel that asked me to become a firefighter, and I said no. After watching what my dad went through and seeing the experience of that when he came home, there was no way in hell that I wanted to do this. But Herschel said, you know, Daryl, do it anyway. If you don't like it, quit. And here I am 30-some years later in this position. But to this sitting administration, the measurement of success will not be through numbers. The measurement of success will be that when African Americans feel as comfortable to ask their sons and their daughters and their grandsons, their granddaughters, their nephews, their friends to be firefighters as you do. Because there's reasons why we don't do that. Why bring certain people to an environment that we sometimes suffer in silence? And there's many people that live in this community that don't come here because they understand the culture. And it's gotten better. If I can give you a task, because I'm still a Stentorian, I still pay taxes, and I have a deep connection to the fire service, that we collectively continue to move the needle forward. To the old Stentorians that are here, those that I came up with, and I know there's those that are looking down on us, but for those old Stentorians, I guess I'm joined that group, I'm retired. And LaSara's good. LaSara is good for those of us that are retired, and LaSara, for those that don't know, it's our retirement fund. I get paid monthly. It's on time every month. It's only been a few months. I get paid the last business day of the month. So I'm about to get paid again. I'm like, damn, I haven't spent last month's yet. But to the old Stentorians, I thank you for your sacrifice, but I want to just change the narrative a little bit. And Johnny Gray, I don't know where you are, but we're here to help. I just don't want to be about what we used to do and how things were. We need to understand this generation and help them, to mentor them. This struggle, as it pertains to African Americans in the fire service, is from cradle to grave. It's never going to go away. I would like to be an optimist, but I have to be a realist too. It will never go away, and we always have to keep our finger on the pulse. Because one day, for all of us in this room, new and old, history will judge us. Just like it judged the original Stentorians that diversified and integrated the fire service, one day the history would judge us and say, what did we do? What did we accomplish? And we still have the ability to keep doing it, and I'm committed to keep doing it. It will just be from a different capacity. In conclusion, I want to thank my friends in this room. I have some amazing friends. For some of you that just called and just said, hey, I'm just checking on you. You don't have to get back to me. I'm just checking on you to make sure you're fine. Thank you. You don't know how much that meant. I have some peers here. I know I saw Jackie Lacey earlier and Cheryl Spiller. Some of my peers I came up, we were chief deputies together and department heads. I want to thank you. We did a lot together, but you left before me, but I now understand. It was time. Our CEO, Bill Fujioka, the previous CEO, he's here. I want to thank you for our relationship, our friendship, although we weren't friends then when you selected me, but I just want to thank you for the confidence that you had in allowing me to become a fire chief. And hopefully, and obviously I did convince you because you chose me. But I can't tell you in this room how hard it was to get there as it relates to my experiences, technical training, formal training. Every single year I set a goal for myself as it pertains to my profession, my personal development. I tried to bring people with me and also improve this organization. I have a dear friend that's here with me. We serve in a foundation because I always believed in nonprofits, and that's important. Even as I leave here, I'm still the chair of the Firefighters Foundation because I thought because we couldn't get the funding that was necessary for this organization, I could be creative. And I started a foundation, and we're still bringing in millions of dollars to help our firefighters and paramedics with the things that we know we need. I can't say enough about my parents. I mean, a lot was already said. I've learned grace from my mom. She always told me to stand tall. To my dad, I can't, those are lessons. I probably have like a PhD times 10 in relation to watching him in his profession. I've been doing this since childhood. When he was studying, when he was doing classes, and when he was going through his challenges, I was right there with him. I want to say I was his confidant. And he talked about how he raised me, but I gave him free advice as a child because it was unfiltered. Probably the best lesson I know he's told Patricia, but I just want to repeat this because it just really speaks to who I am as a man. One day my dad was out cutting the lawn, and I used to run track. And he said, well, how do you think you're going to do today? I said, well, I think I can get second place. And I'll be damned if my dad didn't show up to the track meet. He said, I'm not going to come watch somebody run for second. I'm going to sit here and finish my yard. And the most embarrassing thing, because this speaks to my humility as a leader, and I always felt I was a leader. I failed Cub Scouts, I failed Boy Scouts because I couldn't allow people to tell me what to do. But in that race, I said, you know what, I'm going to run as fast as I can for as long as I can. And I was like beating all the people I've never beat before. I got to that last hurdle. I was like, people were cheering my name, and Osby, and I decided to wave. I tripped and fell. I had never even fallen in practice before. I tripped and fell, and I was so embarrassed I didn't get up. And people said, well, Daryl, why didn't you get up? You were so far ahead. You could have crawled and still won. But I was so embarrassed. Then when I got up the next morning, I looked at the newspaper. There was a picture of me, because, back in the day, for the younger folks in the room, we had dirt tracks with spikes. So I fell on the chalk. So when I got up, they had a picture of me. They called me Frosty. But I learned the importance of always trying to be number one, even if you were unsuccessful. It's always important to aim high. Aim high and miss, than to aim low and be successful. And also it taught me humility. To my daughters, and I saw, Stephanie, I saw your tape. It was pretty long, hopefully almost as long as this speech. But I want to just, I've had some amazing daughters, some amazing son-in-laws. I have 2 amazing granddaughters. I just know through my experiences that from what you've visualized, that you continue this Osby legacy, that you continue to represent, to whatever you do your best, and know that you have me to back you up. To Patricia, I love you. Most of my tenure as the fire chief, I was divorced. And I want to acknowledge my daughter's mother. She was an amazing mom, and I have amazing daughters. But I was divorced through most of my tenure, and that was challenging in a way I didn't even understand until we connected. And and I was hard-headed because she tried to tell me who she was about 5 or 7 years ago, and I didn't listen. But I finally got it right. And I'm so glad that I did, because if you come to our house, we have this African warrior in our house, and his name is Kamal. Did I get that right? Kamal. And Kamal, in whatever African country it means, is silent warrior. And I am a warrior. When we used to date, she would say, why do you look at so many military movies or gladiator movies? And I said, well, I'm just preparing myself for work. True statement. Yeah. And then I would read to strategize. And then I would do biblical verses in the morning to have grace. But I want to thank you because, you know, first she called me King Kong, which meant go to work every day and represent and be strong. But in addition to that, when it was time to leave, she said, Daryl, it's time. It's okay. There's more to life than being a fire chief. There's other things in life that you want to do. And I always thought that, well, if I left, I was quitting. And she says, no, if you're leaving while you're on top, that's not quitting. And you did all that you could. And I'm just so grateful for our relationship. I can't say enough. You know, I'm just going to say two more things. I'm going to sit down. I know Rod Washington's in this room somewhere. He's in the back, because I cussed him out years ago. I was a boot firefighter down at Station 10 in 1985. And so he was talking about my career trajectory. And he said, well, what do you want to do? And I paused and I thought, and he didn't even allow me to finish my statement. He said, well, you could be a good battalion chief or maybe even a good assistant chief. And I did cuss him out. I said, man, why are you going to relegate me to that position? Why can't I be fire chief? And so I always knew that through what my parents taught me, what I saw my dad do, I could be one. And it's important. That's why when I talk about representation, when you see one, you can be one. But I never wanted to be the chief for just title alone. I always wanted to be here because I wanted to make a difference. So what I say to you tonight in my parting ways is that whatever you do in life, always do your best. Wherever you are, always have a positive impact. And when it's all said and done, and we will all meet our Maker, our legacy is not because of titles. Our legacy is not because of zip codes or how much money you have in your account. It's based on the impact you had on others. Always remember that. Thank you. I knew I should have been looking at my notes. I forgot to mention my sister wherever she is. Yeah, my sister Gail. You know, this is my #1 ally. So I just want to thank you too for the love and the support.
Nelson Mandela once said, "It always seems impossible until it's done. You made the impossible possible, the unimaginable attainable, and it was all done with elegance and class." So, sir, we all salute you for the final time. Everyone stand up, please salute our chief for the final time. Job well done, sir. Happy retirement. We salute you. And with that being said, I want to thank our sponsors, CalJack and 1014. Thank you guys very much for coming. Thank you for sponsoring. LA City Stentorians, our brothers and sisters. Thank you very much for sponsoring our tables. We ride together, we die together. I want to thank Holly Mitchell in District 2. Thank you very much for coming. Supervisor Lindsay Horvath in District 3. Thank you very much. And last but not least, Bertrand Washington, Carla Williams, Bill McLeod, Anderson McGee, and Mr. Brent Burton. Thank you very much. Chief Maroney, Dave Gelati, thank you guys. We got work to do, and we want to present you with a gift, Chief Osby. You mentioned years. I've been on the job for 12 years, and every year I hear, man, I'm a chief, I never take a trip. I didn't do a honeymoon, I don't vacation, I don't do this, I don't do that. Well, guess what? On behalf of the executive board and its members, you can take a trip on us. We will handle it for you and your lovely wife. You guys deserve a trip, enjoy retirement. So on behalf of the members of the Stentorians and the Black Chief Association, you did your time, man. And it's time for us to take the torch, keep the fire burning for justice, and we got you. We got it from here. All we are, we owe, and we live eternally in the red.